One of the best things I've done in the last probably about 3 or 4 years is get my caffeine intake under some sort of control. I think I started relying heavily on caffeine once I gave up the old rosé and the old nosé. But what I noticed, particularly when I started turning 50 and I'm now 54, is that I have become a lot more sensitive to caffeine. And my sleep was disrupted. I used to fall asleep quite easily and quite well, but I would wake up during the course of the night and I noticed the back night of my sleep, of my night, was very disruptive. So after a bit of self-adulting and trying to cut down, I finally did, and I consume all my coffee between the hours that I wake up, which is quite early, and I don't drink any more caffeine after 9 a.m. and I generally drink 2 to 3 coffees a day, that's it. But nothing after 9 a.m. Now, if you're suffering sleep issues, particularly waking up in the middle of the night, frequent trips to the bathroom, because caffeine is a diuretic, and like I said before, as we get older, especially plus 40, our ability to metabolize caffeine becomes a little bit more challenging. We become much more resistant and much more sensitive to caffeine. So if you're suffering sleep issues and you're drinking coffee later in the day, I would recommend, strongly recommend, curbing your coffee intake and finishing it much earlier in the day. General guidelines say that you shouldn't drink coffee sort of 8 hours before going to bed. I think, especially if you're plus 40, and especially if you're sensitive to coffee, like I have become, I would recommend not drinking coffee 12 to 14 hours before going to bed. Up to 30% of caffeine can be residual in your bloodstream, even after the last coffee 8 hours beforehand. So if that 30% is still floating around your bloodstream and you're trying to sleep, you may fall asleep, but your sleep might be lighter and a bit more disruptive. And your ability, if you wake up, to fall back to sleep again will be compromised. So that has been a huge, huge shift in my well-being, because sleep, as I mentioned before, activates and impacts every aspect of our life. So I love coffee, and I really got to adult myself and control my desire to drink coffee. So, like I said, if you're struggling with your sleep, if your sleep is light, if you're frequenting the bathroom a lot during the course of the night, maybe look at your caffeine intake and try and work on not having any caffeine at least 12 hours before going to bed. And again, like I said, this is particularly pertinent for people in their 40s, 50s and over. Okay, that's me. Thanks a lot. See you next time.